please.
Hi, Andy. It's Willie from ESPN. Andy, how would you describe what the return of Wimbledon means to you personally and also to the UK?
Um, I mean, I can only really speak for me personally. I don't really know what it means to the whole of the UK. I think we got, well, for most people, like had more to sort of think and worry about the last 18 months. For me personally, like I'm delighted that I can be back competing here again. I'm most excited about being in front of a big crowd and the fans and everything. That's really something that I've missed a lot, and yeah, it's sort of I know it's not normal, but it feels somewhat normal now that we'll be getting, like, we're a couple of days out from Wimbledon, and with all the players and stuff around practicing, and everyone doing the media stuff today, and knowing that in a couple of days time we'll be playing not in front of a full crowd but in front of a lot of people, like, yeah, just to me anyway, like, it feels like we're getting closer to more normality, so I'm happy about that.
Eleanor Crooks.
Hi Andy, Eleanor Crooks from PA. Just wondered how's your week been in terms of the preparations? Have you got the preparations that you wanted to get in, and what did you learn from your practice with Roger yesterday?
Yeah, preparations they've been fine. I've had some good practices with top players. I would like to have done more. I would like to have practiced more. But yeah, I've also sort of trying to manage the physical side as well, which is very important. I want to go into Wimbledon feeling as fresh and as comfortable as possible when I get out there. So yeah, I would say the time that I have spent on court has been good. Getting to play with Roger was really cool for me. Like, saying they're the sort of things that probably like 6-7 years ago I wouldn't have given like any thought to. I would have seen that as just being a practice session pre-major with a top player and focusing kind of on myself. But I think that's something that, yeah, I'm probably appreciating those things more. And like when I take like a step back from that, and I'm like, as a tennis fan and getting to play with Roger Federer like 2 days before Wimbledon is really great, and I haven't had the opportunity to do that sort of stuff much over the last few years, so I enjoyed that.
Keradine, please.
Hi Andy, Cerdine, BBC Scotland. What do you take from the level of the practice with Roger? Because I heard it was pretty good. You may even have won, if you can win a practice match. I'm not sure if that's right. And also with your selection for the Olympics, how much of a lift has that given you with these two massive things coming for you now quite quickly, the championships and then the Olympics?
Yeah, so they're obviously two huge events for me to look forward to, and yeah, I just hope the body holds up for them so that I can give a good account of myself. Yeah, and in terms of like the practices, yeah, like the results in practices and stuff are not that important, obviously, but yeah, for me, like the way that I've been performing in my practices with top players, like I'm not going out there and getting whacked. Like, I'm competing well with all of the players that I practice with, and that's the really positive thing for me, and that's one of the reasons why I'm sure that if my body holds up, that I can do well and can compete with these guys like on the biggest stages. So yeah, results in practice are not important, but I think how you perform in them can give you some some knowledge about where you are and how you can still play and things that you can work on as well. So yeah, it went well.
Liz Clark, please.
Yes, thank you, Andy, for being available. I'm Liz Clark from the Washington Post. You have spoken often, and again recently, about how much you love playing tennis. And I'm just wondering if you could in any way break down the components of that lifelong love, and the pull it has on you despite the pain you have endured in the surgeries. In other words, is it the personal test for you? What part of it involves competing before an audience or competing at a certain venue?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know exactly what it is. I think some of it is deep rooted, and it's been something that I've done my whole life. So like letting go of that obviously would be a difficult thing to do. And I also I miss being on center court and things like that. I miss that. I miss the pressure of that, I think, as well, and that's something that I'm looking forward to feeling that again. I think probably again like 6-7 years ago, I didn't fear that pressure, but it was like something that like I stressed quite a lot about that. Whereas actually when I like reflect on like the last few years and stuff, it's actually something that I've really missed, like being and playing in front of a big crowd on center court. That's what tennis players and tennis fans want to do. And there's been times like in my career where I've been anxious about that, whereas right now I'm looking forward to feeling that pressure. I'm not anxious about going out there to perform. I just want to go do it. So I think there's a number of things that I love about tennis. I think like also like the day-to-day like routine of things, and just like always just trying to better yourself a little bit each day is something that I like too. So there's many things that go into it.
Thank
Nick
you very
Callow.
much.
Sorry, Liz.
Hi, Andy. Sorry. Hi, Andy. It's Nick Callow here from Hater Sports Agency. You're reflecting on your career a little bit. I just wonder if you could share some memories from when you made your debut here as a teenager in 2005, and what advice you might have for Jack Draper, who's making his debut here as a teenager against Novak Djokovic.
Yeah, great experience for him. To get the opportunity to play Novak, on centre court at Wimbledon. Again, it's like I was just sort of saying there, is that now that I've had time to sort of reflect on, I guess a bit my career and stuff, and maybe mistakes and things that I would have made, is that obviously he's going to be feeling nervous and there's going to be pressure on him to go out there and perform. But just to try to take it all in, and don't fear that moment. Like, go out and just go for it and enjoy it. A few years ago, they're the sort of matches that he obviously would have been wanting to play, and now it's come around and he gets that opportunity. So it's fantastic for him. It'll be a great learning experience as well to see where his game is at and everything. So I hope he does well. And then for me, like 2005, I remember being nervous, but like, I don't know, I was just playing just like purely on instinct. At that time, there's no consequences. It didn't feel like if I lost a point or lost a match or a set or whatever, like I was just going out there and just winging it a little bit and doing what I'd always loved. And thankfully I went out there and I performed really well. And but it also was a time, like for me and Jack, maybe it's a bit different because of the situation that the world's in just now. But like for me, I had, I was sitting in this room, like answering to a full room of like journalists. I'd never done that before. I had lots of attention on me. I had paparazzi follow me back to my house. I was on the front page of all the newspapers, and it was a huge change for me. as well, and something that I probably was not very well prepared for, and maybe not that well protected from at that time as well. So yeah, it was a great experience overall, but there's definitely some things that I would have liked to have done differently myself, but also maybe like people around me maybe could have helped with a little bit as well.
Reem.
Yes, thanks.
Hi, I'm Zarima Bullail from the National UAE. Andy, you've spoken about not taking anything for granted and appreciating things more because of everything you've been through. But I'm curious, is it a tricky balance between having that mentality while also still trying not to put too much pressure on playing just one match? You know, the feeling of maybe I won't be able to do this again, or I won't be coming to this tournament again, and things like that. It must put pressure as well. So how do you manage both mentalities?
I mean, I've actually found the hardest thing actually has been more like the preparation for tournaments. And I think Roger mentioned it a little bit, like after his match in Halle. But it's like, for example, at Queen's, and I'm not saying Queen's is not, it's an important tournament for me and a tournament I've loved playing at. But you're also 10, 12 days out from Wimbledon, which, you know, is the biggest tournament for me to play in, and one that I've been really excited about. And it's like the mentality and the preparation of like, you know, I've had lots of issues in the last few years. I've had lots of injury problems. Like, you know, how hard should I push? Like, you know, on the, you know, the couple of days in the build up to a match at Queen's, like, you know, how much should I practice and prepare? Because there's, you know, a bit of you that's like, oh, you know, if I get hurt this week and then I have to miss Wimbledon, I'd be, you know, I'm desperate to play here. Like with what happened at, you know, like the Australian Open, for example. Like I don't want something like that to happen again. You know, so yeah, that's the thing I've found hardest in terms of from a mentality perspective. Like when I get on the court and play, I think it'll be pretty different. Like I'll just go out there and I'll compete for every point, and you know, if my body hurts afterwards, fine. But it's like, it's more the build up that's the hard part, knowing how much to push, and, you know, having the mentality to really, really go for it in training.
Thank you.
Emily Kent-Smith.
Hello, can you hear me, Andy?
Yeah, how are you?
Hi, Andy. Emily Kent-Smith from the Sunday Times. I just wanted to ask about your opponent on Monday, Nicolas Basilashvili. He has obviously been accused of domestic abuse against his wife and is being investigated in Georgia. I wanted to see if you had any views on that in terms of the process and whether it should be changed. Obviously, in other sports, when somebody's under investigation, they wouldn't be able to take part. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke about this a couple of months ago when I was asked about him, and also with Zverev. And yeah, for me, like, there should be protocols and a process in place when allegations like this are made, which I don't know exactly what those processes are exactly, but from what I've heard, they're not great. And that's something that the ATP, the governing bodies, ITF, the Slam should be looking to implement, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you everybody. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for.
Thank you.